Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Believe Again podcast. I am your host, Josh Robery, and we're all about helping pastors find momentum for their ministry through practical advice and inspiring stories. I've had the privilege to work with hundreds of pastors over the last 10 years in my role at the Association of Related Churches to help them start new and growing churches. I've also been able to write curriculum and training that existing churches have used to help their churches. And I want to bring that experience to you through this podcast in a helpful and refreshing way. And this season, we're talking about Relaunch Sunday. And this episode in particular with Pastor Randy Alonzo from Lineage Church in Florida is going to be with us today to talk about relaunching a campus. And so that's something that I get a lot of questions about, and people actually come to ARC and look to help for that. And so I'm able to learn a lot about that process. But I was able to work with Randy to apply church planting principles to the relaunch of their campus of Lineage Church. Pastor Randy actually founded the church and handed it over to his son, who's a good friend of mine, Ryan Alonzo, and they are doing a great job down there. And so if you want to hear a story about relaunching a campus and how that worked well for them, tune in. I think you're going to enjoy this. Okay, I'm excited to be talking today with Pastor Randy Alonzo, founder of Lineage Church, but now campus pastor. So how's that journey been?
That's great. That piques interest, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About 11, 12 years ago, we started a succession plan with my son, of all people. It was awesome. He was young, but he had grown up in the church with us over the previous 10 years. And so 2-year succession plan, the church voted him in unanimously, and I slipped into the elder statesman role, if you will, at age 55. And I said, hey, son, how can I best serve the vision God gives you? And that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years.
And so when did you become campus pastor?
You know, what I've done for Ryan is anything that's new, I kind of spearhead new things. So whether it's launches or programs or whatever, I kind of run out front on that. We have a background of church planting even before we met ARC, a long time ago when I was very young. We planted. And of course, we became a partner church of ARC in 2015. And so we're just investing in church plants now, but we're a multi-site church. And this location, I spearheaded it actually several years ago. And then I kind of turned it over with, campus pastor, but then it ran into a snag. And over about 1.5 years' time, it lost its momentum, if you will, and it was needing a relaunch. And I stepped back in.
Well, we're going to talk about that and how you were able to help relaunch this campus and do it well. It's all real fresh. All's happened in the last couple months. And the shortest portable church ever.
Yes.
So we'll get into that. Shortest portable campus ever, I should say. And but you do some other things well. So let's take a couple minutes and just tell us about your ministry journey, church planning, Bridges for Peace, all the things that you do.
Thank you. Well, as far as I'll start with the ARC relationship, it has just been so wonderful for us, Josh. And you will remember well, my first trip to Birmingham at Dino's invite, you picked me up at the airport. And we had the best time that evening. I felt a connection to you at that time. Like, I'm going to pray for this guy. God's got good things going on for him. Now to be working with you and Amy, because I get to attend so many of the ARC intensives as a resource partner, as well as pastoring at Lineage Church. I'm with Bridges for Peace. We're an Israel ministry based in Jerusalem. Our U.S. headquarters are right here where I live in Melbourne, Florida, and I've been with them for 25 years. So we're your Israel connection. Anybody listening to this today, I'll be your connection after this podcast. But my journey goes clear back to the 80s. So I'm one of those guys in the ARC movement who tells the story of, boy, if I had only known, or if we could have had, and it's true because we dug our churches out of the ground, with no plan. And we first launched a church in 1986 in San Diego as a family. And that church is alive and well today, praise God. So from there to pastoring and planting all the way through, we've now been here in Florida for the last 27 years. And we got a heart for multi-site about 12 years ago. And then Art came in the picture, and now we're really going after it. Yeah.
Well, awesome. So, yeah, you have some great stories. I always love hearing you tell your stories from planting in Southern
Mhm.
California and
Yeah.
just the different dynamics of, being in a different time, but also how people helped you along your way. And now you're helping other people. You're at every one of our ARC launch trainings, so I get to see you all the time, or almost every one
Hmm.
of them.
Hmm.
Don't want to
Yeah.
put something on you that's not,
Mhm.
but yeah, basically all of them. And
Love being there. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and you're just an encouragement to so many people. But then I guess like last year you came and you asked me some questions, and how exactly did it go? You were telling me you wanted to
Well,
relaunch. You asked.
it was at the art conference a year ago. Here we're coming up on almost it's time for the conference, and I said, Josh, one we've got this stirring. We want to plant churches. We've got a vision for 10 plants in at Lineage. I said, but there's some other things going on with what we've got already. That started the conversation. I remember you listening very carefully and obviously always offering help. Several months later, I said, Josh, I need to relaunch this campus. I want you to coach me. And you jumped in with me on a very short notice because we relaunched this thing basically in 3 months. And to do it all over again, and we will be doing it again when it comes to launching, I would have said, I needed that 6 month window really,
Mhm.
but we made it. And we ended up from the location we were at, which was semi-mobile, to totally mobile, to now to permanent in 3 months, 3.5 months. And you've been walking with us the whole time. We're still pinching ourselves that we landed a permanent location. So to embellish that further, we're in a location we were leaving that was we rented it 5 hours on a Sunday. And we had shrunk down. There was about 50 people left in that location. So it was almost like, wow, what do we do? But we said, no, these folks have stayed with us. Let's revitalize it. And so then we went from there to an elementary school. We trained in there, did the relaunch plan up to grand opening at your bidding and coaching. Went wonderful, had a big crowd. People got saved, baptized. And the week that we did the grand opening in the elementary school, a church pops up for rent. And we watch all the time, and we had never seen one for rent. A former Presbyterian church on 5 acres on US 1 here in Melbourne, Florida. 45,000 cars a day go by it. And there it was sitting. It had been purchased by a Ford dealership. We negotiated a deal. We were in the elementary school all of 3 weeks. And Easter last week was our first official service in the permanent location. So that's how that all happened. And you walked right through it with us and coached me in doing it. And I could not be happier. We on Sunday at our other location as well, we had 33 people come to saving faith in Christ. And
Amazing.
we're off and running, man.
So, how many new people do you think have come to the church since you
A
guys have
hundred,
relaunched?
a
Wow,
hundred. Yeah.
that's
I mean,
incredible.
it Easter Sunday, of course, the timing was great because who wouldn't love to have, a first opportunity on an Easter? Now, we don't normally launch a church on Easter, but doing the kind of relaunch, it worked out so well. And for those of you who are listening and maybe are in this vein of planting or relaunching, of course, we've been using now ARC for a couple of years, Visit Planner. And I can't speak more highly of what Brad has done with that. That was a gift, and it really got results.
Well, I don't know if you know that, but they're our sponsor for the podcast. So, um, they
Well,
help us keep
double
this.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes. So, always works well. And basically it's like, most of the people I bring on here, have used Visit Planner and it's helped them. And so this is just such a great mix for them
Yeah.
to sponsor
Yeah.
this. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so you came to me and, you said you were looking for some help and I was like, hey, I think I can help you. Basically what I like to do is I like to help people who want to do a church planning strategy for a relaunch. There's a lot of different ways to relaunch. You can just send out some mail, keep meeting on Sunday, keep doing everything the same. You can change your logo, but you didn't change your logo. You
Hmm.
kept your logo. But you did the church planting model in 3 months for a campus, and you had tremendous results. And so, that was that hard for you to kind of say, and you're such a positive person. I always told you when we met, I'm like, hey, if this doesn't work, it's 100% on me, because you do every single thing I say. You're positive about everything. And the best part about meeting with you is I don't think one of our meetings went the whole time. You were always done early. You're like, "Oh, that's it. Got my questions done. Let's go do it."
We're good.
Most ideal candidate ever. Um, but you guys had to communicate things to your team. So let's go step by step, month by
Hmm.
month. We'll go through all 3 months. So that first
Yeah.
month, like, what were you communicating to your team, and what immediate changes did you make?
Yeah. So here you've got a group of people who have been solid and committed, but they've watched it dwindle. Okay. And so their morale is at a low ebb. Okay. These families. And so that's the first thing to address. And of course, from a leadership standpoint, you've got to have passion. And so passion came to the table first moment. Folks, here's what we're going to do. And we believe that God is going to bless it. And I want you to be a part. And so that passion had to rise up to create a belief, right? When they were waning in that, like, we've been trying hard, but we had a hiccup this past year and it didn't go well. And so you kind of got to recognize what you've got. And so when you're talking about relaunch, most people who are doing a relaunch is because, well, we need to fire this thing back up, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
hurting. We were in that vein. So for me, that was job one: bring the passion, and then bring the vision with that, because the passion will fuel the vision, and the vision will give direction to the passion. And so in that first month under your coaching, we went right into startup party mode, just following the plan. And they're one on one, family to family, rallying the troops, if you will, and planning well and then executing. That was over the holidays. And we saw an immediate rise in expectation. That
You
was the first
actually
month.
you actually canceled a Sunday service, didn't you, to do, and y'all just did the startup party.
Yeah, we went right into mode of, you know what, folks, we're more now going kind of in a training and a relaunch mode. And so less Sunday service, more, if you will, structure, how we will now go about doing this.
So how did your core people respond whenever you told them, "Hey, we're not going to meet on Sunday. Instead, we're going to meet in the afternoon, and we're going
You,
to make it an invite
mhm.
party"?
Yep. Not a hitch one. I honestly tell you, there was no pushback on that at all. And I'm not sure why. I'm glad. I think it was the idea that, hey, we're going to have a new grand opening when we go into this elementary school, and they caught the vision of that.
So the second month, you guys did this, and now you're doing your second and maybe your third startup party.
Hmm.
What were some other
Hmm.
things that you were doing along the way to kind of bring awareness and prepare for this relaunch?
One of the things I told the people, obviously been a pastor for over 40 years, I said, all that we're doing that commands so much attention, to do a kind of a new form of outreach and letting people know whatever. I said, but here's what you need to remember: pastoring still goes on every day. I love you. Who you are is more important to me than what you do. And so don't hesitate to talk, to share, to tell me what's going on in your life. So the pastoring aspect, I reassured them, and I actually solicited it. So going to their homes, out to dinner, having a Coke, meeting, calling them and asking them how they're doing personally, and they all had things going on, right? So I think that was part of what was very helpful as we got into more of the training and meetings and I need you to do this kind of thing, that helped them to believe that our pastor really loves us and we are not quitting.
So,
Faithfulness wins.
so the new people that came along, how did you connect them to the team, and what was that like?
Sharing that obviously that initial vision. Here's who we are, here's what we're doing, and we're so glad you came. And you're just finding out, do you think this is something that you'd like to be a part of, and then nurturing that. And many people came along and they loved the idea. And as you know, many will not. But you're obviously, I've always kind of looked at church work like, this may seem like a funny illustration, but a guy from Louisiana and Baton Rouge understands good seafood down on the coast. And I used to I always thought of shucking oysters. How many oysters do you got to shuck before you find a pearl?
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for pearls, and not everybody's going to get excited about a relaunch or a launch or whatever. But there's that group of people who will, and then they'll come, they'll participate, they'll give, and they'll find their place. So we went with that mindset, and it helped us.
So one of the things that I think helped you as well is the fact that you were changing buildings. So it almost gave like a reason to relaunch. Hey, go into this new building, same part of
Mm-hmm,
town, but it's going to give us
mm-hmm,
opportunity to reach different people. So it kind of got people excited about it. But also with that was we had a unique challenge because at a certain point you want to stop doing your startup parties and start training that team that you've recruited
mm-hmm,
and the
mm-hmm.
people that are a part of your church to be ready for that big launch Sunday. And so you were going into your new location, and it was kind of like a unique challenge where you were like, hey, what are we going to do here? How are we going to do these launch team meetings on a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday in this new space? And we had to get creative on solving that problem. So what did you do there?
Yeah, so we one, God gave us favor with an elementary school. We used an app called Facilitron. I say that for all of you who are launching or relaunching, you need to look in the school system. Facilitron is awesome at helping you get a facility. Then you have to have the permission of the principal, and we had favor with this principal who opened the door. That was a big job. Number one, just making sure that can happen, right? And it was happening quickly. So then now going into that building, of course, they're walking in and they're going, okay, we're in a multi-purpose in a school, and there's desks, and we're going to move this and that. And then the reality starts setting in that we're going to do roll in and roll out, right? Oh boy. And I was scrambling at that time. We had an awesome equipment coming, but I needed carts and trailers and all this. So all that happened, and the slow reality of mobile church set in, and that was an attention getter. The cool part was they rose to the occasion. They jumped right in. They were ready to do whatever they were asked to do, and that's how that kind of felt going through those 4 or 5 weeks of training, getting new people involved, and getting set up for a grand opening.
So you guys actually did your launch team meetings at the facility to
Mm-hmm.
you didn't, a lot of times those will take place somewhere else, but you actually did them there and like
Mm-hmm.
let people get the wake up call, like, hey, we're making a switch here. You need to
Yeah.
see, what it's going to take to pull this off, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
really, really smart. So what are some of the things you did to get the word out in the community about the relaunch, and how did you message that to people?
Sure. We have really proud of the team we have at our church that does social media. They do an excellent job. We get lots of comments on that. So the Facebook, Instagram, social media thing became very specific, and a good campaign rolled out. Coupled that with Visit Planner, which also does ads for you. And then the word of mouth, obviously, of the people, getting them excited about telling people. And really, that was the three-pronged approach. We didn't do direct mail. We also have a radio program. Ryan and I do Bible teaching Monday through Friday on the local Christian radio here. That was another avenue I used, and people came from that as well. So that was the basic mode. So again, not everybody. Again, this was a little core group of people that was hurting, and we realized we wanted to revitalize it. So we went from the 50 that we had, and grand opening had 152 people that day. So it tripled in size. We had that same amount on Easter, and we're seeing that bump. And I'm looking around going, bunch of new people. So I couldn't be happier, Josh, in a 3.5 month period, really, to take it from that to that and really fast track so many things to include mobile church for 3 weeks. And that 3 weeks was just enough for our people to go, whoo wee, we are glad to have a permanent spot. I mean, I can feel like it's like indelibly in them, you know what I mean? And that's gonna last us a while. That high commitment.
That's awesome. So the people that have been around a while, what were they saying after that launch Sunday?
Hmm. Well, I could see the surprise in their eyes. I could see the joy. Um, Things were done in an excellent manner. We used the school facility. We maxed it out to the best of our ability, and I could see the joy in them. Like, wow, this worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for them because they're the core group that stayed with us through thick and thin. And now they're seeing since that grand opening, like new people and a new property. I wish everybody could see this 5 acre, Presbyterian church building. We've already painted it, carpeted it, put all the equipment in it, and it's up and running as I speak. And they're really fired up about it.
So this was a big commitment for you guys whenever you made this switch. Part of it was that
Mhm.
you had to buy some portable equipment, and
Yep.
you spent a lot of money doing that.
Yes,
And
we did. Hmm.
then you have a facility come up that's really ideal. And what I like about that is you didn't say, "Oh, well, we just bought all this equipment. We just did all this stuff. We can't,
Hmm.
we can't move. We have all this stuff here.
Hmm.
We've already done this." But it's like, it was a sunk cost. It was, you've already paid that. It's just, what's the
Hmm.
best next move? And that's such a hard principle for people to realize. It doesn't matter what you've already done. It's what's the best thing today. And you
Boy, that's
guys did that.
powerful, Josh. That's a very powerful point. And we kind of sowed some seed along the way before we even got this, building to let them know, hey, what we're using here it can be reused wherever we go. And so we kind of put that in their head early on. And it's true. It all rolled right into that new building and it's all being used. So none of it's sitting around, except I did buy a very nice 24-foot trailer, and that thing is sweet. And
You
and
won't have
so
any
we're
problem selling that. Those
no,
things.
and now that I have it, I'm going, I don't know that I want to get rid of it. I want to keep that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, those
Yeah,
things are in high demand in the church planting world.
you're not kidding.
That's like a new pair of Jordans at a junior high, or a
Yeah.
Toyota Tacoma at the high school. Everybody wants one of those things.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I want to encourage, people who are listening to this, Josh, because again, being around for a while, the grind can get you if you're not careful. And relaunching is a big decision. And boy, it's easy for our own morale to sink and for our own stick to itiveness and faithfulness. And this recent experience has just it's been a blessing to me. I say a statement all the time. I've said it once, I think, on here: faithfulness wins. And when you've got passion and you've got vision and you've got a plan, thank you, ARC. I'm telling you, thank you, ARC. Whether it's the launch plan or the relaunch coaching, whatever, there are so many great tools that are available to us. And you add that to what God calls you to do, and you stick by it, because not everybody that launches or relaunches is having 500 or 600 people show up. You know that more than anyone, but it's okay. And I remember a long time ago when I first planted and I got my first 50 people together. And I was feeling like, gee, is that all? I'm 6 months in, and this was in the 80s with no plan. And I remember a seasoned pastor coming along and encouraged me. And he said, "You mean you can get 50 people to show up every week and agree with you? Do you realize what kind of accomplishment?" He kind of took it out of the spiritual and goes, "Do you know how hard it is to get 50 people to stay with you and think that you've got good ideas?" And you know what? That changed my life about that. And small beginnings, right? And you're important, and God has a plan, and I just want to encourage people and love to talk to them about it.
Pastor Rainey, I think that's a great encouragement for us to end on. Tell us a little bit about how
Mhm.
people can get in touch with Bridges to Peace, what you do for
Yeah.
pastors, and
Yes.
just how they can stay in touch with you and Lineage Church.
Yes. Thank you. Bridgesforpeace.com. That's the website. Bridgesforpeace.com. I'd be honored if you'd go there because, one, I would ask you to pray for us. We have boots on the ground in Israel. We have contacts all up and down the Gaza Strip in these communities that were hit so hard on October 7th. We have been in the land for over 50 years. And you pray for us. And if God would lead you to be a part of blessing Israel, God will bless you when you bless the Jew. And that's been our passion, is to love them unconditionally and let God do the rest with them. And we have gained a very good reputation in the nation of Israel and with the government, even, as a very benevolent Christian organization who doesn't leave when trouble comes. That's our moment to shine with our Jewish friends. So I've been working with them for 25 years. I'm a senior national representative for them, and I take a lot of trips to Israel. And if any of you listening ever want to go, I'm your Israel connection for that, as well as getting you plugged into Israel ministry and what's going on in the land today. So bridgesforpeace.com. Thank you, Josh, for letting me share that. That means the world to me.
Well, that's amazing. And what you get to do there, it's important to me and so many other people as well. And I just love your story. You guys just took a big chance and did something really quickly, and it's worked really well. So I'm so happy for
Amen.
you, and honored to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Again, I want to thank my guest, Pastor Randy, for joining us today. He is such an amazing guy and is doing incredible things through Bridges for Peace. You can find out more about Bridges for Peace at bridgesforpeace.com. They want to be your Israel connection, and they have helped so many pastors do that. And you can find out more about Lineage Church at lineage.church. And we have a great sponsor, Visit Planner, and I'm so thankful for them. So I want to give them one more shout out before the episode is over. And, I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to this podcast. It's always a joy having you. I can't wait for you to be with us next time. Until then, keep believing and leading strong.